What's up guys, my name's Brandon and welcome back to the 80th Jailbreak Update episode. And today, unfortunately, we have some bad news for those of you waiting on A12 support for the uncovered jailbreak. So of course, in this video, we're going to explain the whole situation right now with A12 support. We're also going to be talking about Saurik and his current state of mind and just the whole entire jailbreak community. We're going to be talking about Pwn to Own, we're going to be talking about Cool Start, we're going to be talking about a lot more in this video as well, and also what the future holds for jailbreaking. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So first of all, you guys knew if you watched all my videos, basically you know that the only thing we're waiting on, the only thing we really needed all along for the A12 support on the uncovered jailbreak is an update to Substrate. We needed Saurik to update Substrate for iOS 12 on A12 devices. But of course, Pwn to Own just kept telling us, that it was coming, that we just had to wait, but we really didn't have any kind of time frame. We didn't really have an exact, mention of it from Saurik or anything like that. So basically we knew that we needed this Substrate update, but we just didn't really know when it was going to happen exactly because again, Saurik is a super quiet guy. We don't really hear much about what he's doing behind the scenes. So we were kind of just waiting and playing the waiting game and staying patient. Well, needless to say, early this morning, Saurik actually went to Twitter. Yes, Twitter, where he never does. He never tweets on Twitter, and he wrote a lot of things and gave us a lot of insight as to what's actually been going on behind the scenes as far as his mind state, Substrate for iOS 12 and A12, and a lot more. So I'm not going to read every single tweet, but I am going to go through quite a few of them because there are a lot of interesting points that I want to hit on. So he started off by tweeting out how disappointed he was in the community for being so toxic and disrespectful towards him and his work. Of course, that's a common occurrence here in the jailbreak community. He did also mention how some organizers at events that he was attending were being harassed about an ETA for the A12 jailbreak, which is laughable. It's pretty ridiculous. He then reminded us that he does have a full-time job and that Cydia or Substrate are not high priorities at the moment, and honestly, they probably never will be. So those were just some of the first few tweets, and then the fourth tweet that he made is very interesting. So Saurik says, "I did not promise to anyone, including Sam Bigner, the only person I've been talking to at all, that I would be able to finish A12 Substrate ASAP." So wow, Saurik basically just confirmed that he was never even talking to Pwn to Own this entire time that we've been waiting on this, and kind of Pwn to Own kind of just led us on to believe that he was in direct contact with Saurik, because he was giving us updates on when we can expect Substrate. It's coming soon and things like that. But in reality, he wasn't even really talking to Saurik directly. So it seems like it was Sam that was the real one, talking to Saurik and helping him out with things, not Pwn to Own. So very interesting. And based on the tweets from Saurik, you could see that he just recently even started working on Substrate support for A12, just very recently. So he hasn't been working on it for months like we all thought. He then went on to explain how he quit the jailbreak scene for a while up until October 2018 when he was contacted by Sam, who offered to help offload a lot of stressful, things that happen behind the scenes when it comes to updating something like Substrate. It's such a big deal. And to that, of course, Saurik did agree to come back to update Substrate for A12. So Saurik has just recently been able to work on Substrate for A12. In the best case scenario, he, quote, "would never have expected to have had this done by now, as I honestly think this will be more than 3 weeks of work." And that's like constant work. So basically 3 weeks is a possible time frame for when we can expect Substrate to be updated for A12 devices. But honestly, I think it's going to take longer than that. I mean, just look at the track record, look at the history of Saurik. We always have to wait a long time because he doesn't work day in and day out on this stuff. 3 weeks, he's talking about 3 weeks of like consecutive work, pretty much probably all day work, which he's not going to do. So I would imagine it's going to take more than 3 weeks, unfortunately. He then went on to say how it's, quote, "entirely possible that someone using techniques I find, quote, sloppy, the kind of stuff that led to the iOS 11 stability issues, can make A12 work easily. I have no interest in that." So basically he's saying there is an alternative to Substrate if he doesn't, release the update to Substrate. And that alternative that he's referring to is, of course, Substitute, which we did use in iOS 11. And obviously it's not near as stable as Substrate, but it's the only alternative we have right now. It's all we have. That's the only hope for a jailbreak for A12 devices, unless you just don't want to install tweaks and things like that. And then Saurik mentions how if he ever does update Substrate for A12, quote, "it will not only be because I found a good way to achieve the goal that I consider stable, but it will also be because I have, at least momentarily, come to enjoy the process of working on it again. That might never come to pass." So yeah, basically long story short, Saurik is fed up. He's super frustrated at this point. He's been frustrated. He's, expressed that in the past on Reddit and things, but this time I think he hit a boiling limit. I think he just, had enough of it. He had to post things on Twitter, a ton of stuff on Twitter, which he never does, just so people can stop harassing him and the people around him for, an A12 release for Substrate. And like he said, he may or may not release the Substrate update for A12 devices. And even if he does, it's going to be at least a month out from now. So it's still going to be a long ways away. Honestly, we may even have iOS 13 beta by the time A12 devices get support, which is pretty unfortunate for those of you who have been waiting for a long time now. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we were also, led to believe that Pwn2Own was having direct contact with Saurik and was, giving us real timelines, when in fact, Saurik had really only been talking to Sam, who didn't really give us a lot of updates on Twitter or anything like that. So like I said, if we never get a Substrate update for A12 devices, of course we are going to have to rely on Substitute, which we did briefly in iOS 11 as well. And when talking about that subject, Pwn2Own said, quote, "I will still be working on a Substitute implementation for code injection on A12, which may get released if I manage to fix the stability issues that come with it." Then Pwn continued to tell us that it isn't over just yet and that he will still release a jailbreak for A12 devices eventually. And then after all this news broke, of course, Pwn did finally take Uncover out of the beta stages with the official 3.0 release on GitHub. He was originally waiting to make it public when Substrate was updated for A12, but now since we don't know if that'll ever happen, he just decided to take it out of beta now and, release the public version 3.0, which again, is pretty much the same as the previous betas, because those are very stable for being beta. He only didn't take it out of beta because we didn't have support for A12. Now, Jake James will also be working on a Substrate, as he said this on Twitter after all of Saurik's tweets. "To all the people who lost hope, there's something I'll try today if Sam is available, which then can also be applied to Uncover more easily, so you'll get something, maybe not the most stable thing, but something. You definitely will be having more trouble if you update," and he's referring to iOS here, so you don't want to update to something like 12.2 or 12.3 or anything like that. No matter what firmware you're on, just stay there for now. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we still do have Coolstar and Electra. We still do have that jailbreak with Substitute, as a possibility for A12 devices as well. That's probably going to get released as well. So it looks like we may also have another little race here between Pwn and Coolstar, maybe Jake James, for support for these A12 devices. So as of right now, we are a little ways out from an A12 jailbreak, but again, stay on your current firmware. You don't want to update just because you don't think we're ever going to have a jailbreak. It's going to come eventually. It's taking a little bit longer than expected, but it's still going to come eventually. Now, obviously that's bad news, but what's worse news is just reading all of Saurik's tweets. And I mean, you got to think the dude has to be leaving Cydia very soon. After all this, he's been so frustrated in the past. He's shared things on Reddit, long things about how he hates working on Cydia. He hates the jailbreak scene. He hates everything to do with it. And now with this, blow up on Twitter, I cannot imagine he's going to be staying around very much longer. So I don't know what's going to happen, post Cydia, post Substrate. I don't know, but it's very, very concerning for the world of jailbreaking. And it also doesn't seem that he plans on open sourcing Cydia either. So if he were to move on, it'd kind of just die. Nobody could take over because he didn't open source the code to Cydia, which is kind of, unfortunate. And I may actually go more in depth with Saurik and just the history and the, future of jailbreaking in a separate video if you guys want. Let me know down in a comment below. I don't want to take all the time on this video to explain that, but it's very concerning for the future of jailbreaking because Saurik, of course, has been at the helm of everything for so long with Cydia and Substrate. But we'll see. Jailbreaking will always be a thing with iOS and the iPhone, so I'm sure something will happen with time, and I will be here to tell you guys on YouTube. So yeah, anyways, guys, I know that's not the best news you wanted to hear today, but that's how it goes. I don't just bring you, all the good news. I don't bring you just updates when something good happens. I want to keep it real with you guys, tell you the good stuff, tell you the bad, tell you how it is. I'm not one to sit here and tell you, oh, it's coming soon, it's coming soon. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is and, everything that goes on in the community, whether that's good or bad. So with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, hit that like button. Also make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future jailbreak update videos, just like this one. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching the video, and I'll see you soon.